In motion is Sewell. Goff to throw. Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it! Boy, Sewell with a first down! Oh, yes! The big man dives down to the 31-yard line! Oh, that is beautiful!
Welcome to the Twentyman in the Huddle podcast presented by Microsoft. I am Tim Twentyman. He is PJ Clark. We are here after every game. And now this is a Monday edition. We had some travel stuff we had going on. Couldn't get one together right after the game yesterday. So we are here in the Twentyman interview.
Look at that. I mean,
we've never done a podcast here. Now this is called the Twentyman interview room because, well, the guys in PR have a sense of humor, and
I find it funny.
They did the skills challenge with all the media people back in the spring, which I ended up winning, and my reward was having this room
that we've never
named
used
after me.
But now we are.
Some of the media guys do use it, and it's funny. They do reference it as a joke, obviously, and the PR people were really
there's no
great
matter.
to
You're
put
plastered.
the picture in here and I've never been in here actually.
First time.
I don't
for
think
everything.
I ever went. It's kind of scary in here now with me plastered all over the place.
First time for everything.
But Peach, that introduction, obviously, and good job by you getting the Sewell one. I know that's what people wanted. We posed it out there on the podcast, on the comments, and
if
Sewell.
we want Brock Wright,
I was just getting that. Dude, we're on lockstep here. How unlikely that Sewell play was, a week ago. You can say it's equally unlikely that Brock Wright, 4th and 1, sneaking out into the flat, wide open touchdown, 51 yards to win the game. I mean, how improbable was that?
With that was the first play out of the 2-minute warning. I mean, that was the game on that one singular play, and he just snuck out, leaked right out into the flat.
He sold it great too.
Oh, it was great. He got held up by 2 Jets coming across the middle, and he just got through it. I mean, that's all you could do. And props on the call to Ben Johnson. Props on Jared to finding him. Props on Brock to make it 50 yards to the end zone. I mean, he had to break a couple times. I mean, he was wide open for 40 of them, but once he got to the 10, there were a couple bodies around him, and that's just.
What about that block by Josh too?
Yep,
you didn't get a lot of them, but got enough of them.
Got it,
and James Houston blocking on the punt return.
Yep.
And we've talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown all season for some of these big gains, especially early in the season in the run game. And it's really an unselfish group, Peach. And I think the big thing about Sunday is they found a way to win a game that in years past, there's no way they win that game. I think the first 2 months of the season, there's no way they win that game.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me is that we are watching a young football team right in front of our eyes learn how to win games and grow up. And I think that's got to be really exciting for Lions fans.
And I think that's just there's no way to tell where this kind of hot streak ends now for this season, but even if it doesn't break into the playoffs this year, you got to feel really good coming back into next year. Just the way this is finishing up, and you have this core and these guys are around, and that they are a team now, and they're becoming a more complete team by the hour. It seems like,
and you got to feel really good about where Dan Campbell has this team right now. And this is what Dan Campbell said after the game about Sunday's win and just finding a way to win a different kind of way.
Yeah, listen, it feels great. It does. You'll never take away from winning. You can never take away from winning, not in this league, And I told our guys, nobody knows that better than we do. I mean, we're not gonna talk trash about a win. A win is a win, and we'll take that because we earned that. Our guys earned that, and but the reality is, moving forward, we do have to clean a few of these things up that. They could have cost us today and will cost us down the road, but a win feels great, and the guys, they believe, and now here we go. This is another win, but it was a different way to have to win. We had to find a different way to win, another way to win, and every time that happens, you just continue to grow and you start figuring things out, and your confidence grows.
It was different, and right. You're never going to apologize for a win, but you've got some stuff to clean up.
It was not the best game of the year by any stretch.
But it's find a way to win. Right?
Oh.
And that's what December football is all about. And Peach, look, the Lions have to take care of their own business. And I know they've been steadfast in that. Look, we're not scoreboard watching. We're not doing all this kind of stuff. But I am.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what?
Things are shaping
I'm
up.
a writer, and that's what I do. And I'm not going to apologize for it at all. So
Things are shaping up quite nicely.
But week 16, Lions head to Carolina. And look, that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be cold in Carolina here, like 20 degrees at
20
kickoff.
degrees at kickoff on Saturday.
I don't know who.
Merry Christmas.
I don't know who advantage who.
I
I
mean,
don't think anybody.
no.
I think we're used to, playing Green Bay.
It was not warm yesterday. So you got that at least going for you.
But, we Lions head to Carolina, and they get a win there. Let's say they get a win in Carolina. Hypothetically, obviously. Week to prepare. A lot of things got to happen before that. The two teams directly ahead of them, the Washington Commanders, have a game in San Francisco. Not easy.
Not easy.
Seattle Seahawks have a game in Kansas City.
Not easy.
Not easy. Lions beat Carolina. Washington and Seattle lose. Guess who goes into the number 7 spot?
The Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. With 2 weeks remaining. How fun is that? And that's the great thing about this stretch of games is obviously at 1-6, you never thought this would happen. Kudos to Dan Campbell, to all these guys, to the young guys growing up, to this defense playing much better. Jared Goff's the only quarterback in the NFL who started the last 6 games and has not turned the football over. I mean, and look, Sunday wasn't pretty. We've talked about that. They were 0-3 in the red zone. Really got nothing going in the run game. Another game where they averaged less than 4 yards per carry. Not a ton of explosive plays, but look, they got a key turnover when they needed one. Jerry Jacobs. They got a 47-yard punt return by Kalif Raymond. And boy, what an unsung hero Kalif Raymond is.
100 total yards yesterday. I mean, he did it through the air too. When they needed to move the ball, I mean, obviously the Jets are a very good pass defense. You talked about it a lot leading into the game. Amon-Ra got his as usual, but not even didn't eclipse 100 yards, only at 76. But next leading receiver is Kalif Raymond by a long shot.
Yeah. Minus the Brock Wright, 1 catch for 51 yards. But I mean, Swift 5 for 23, Mitchell 2 for 12. I mean, Chark had just 1 catch. Jamo was targeted once. Could have been a touchdown with a little better throw by Jared, but there just wasn't a lot going on. But Kalif Raymond is that guy to me who just, we talk about glue guys a lot. And he's a glue guy. When they had all those injuries early in the season at wide receiver, Kalif Raymond, 7 catches, 76 yards, 8 catches, 80 yards. He had that game.
And he played every snap. And he's doing punt return, and he's all over the place.
And, Dan said, hey, shoot, I'd put it as a gunner, too, because it'd be great there. He's one of the fastest guys on the team, but we can't have him do everything. I mean, we've got to limit some of his reps. But to me, he's just another one of those glue guys, right, that just puts his head down, comes to work every day. 3 of his 5 catches were first downs. He had the huge catch last week on 3rd down to set up the Reynolds touchdown. And, Jared said, we asked him about Kalif after the game Sunday, and he said, what, gadget guy, as some people refer to him, what punt returner / gadget type guy comes into the game and you give him choice routes with the quarterback. Not many 5th wide receivers have the options to do choice routes and stuff like that, but that's just how comfortable Jared feels with Kalif because of all the reps that they have, because he's been the one guy that's been there every practice, every game, done it. And when you look at the totality of the Lions wide receiver room, I mean, to have Kalif Raymond with I think he's right up on 40 catches on the year.
Yep.
He's your 5th guy. I mean, they have some really good depth, and you've got to feel good about all 5 of those guys stepping into a game and being able to make a play. And look, this is what Dan had to say about Kalif after the game, and I agree with him 100%.
He's getting a game ball. He's our Iron Man. He is our Iron Man. He does everything for us. He's been in there through some of the injuries we've had at receiver, it's just been he's been there every day, man, for every game, every practice. He just goes, and he is he's selfless. He's disciplined. He's a hard worker. He's smart. He's productive. He endears himself to his teammates, and he's versatile. So he can block, he can play on the slide, he can play outside. He's got run after catch. He's a damn good punt returner. I think he'd be a great gunner too, but we got to, we want to be smart with how we use him. But he does everything for us, and he doesn't bat an eye. He doesn't whine, he doesn't complain. It's never too hard. It's never too job. It's too much. He just goes. What do you need me to do, and I'll go. And you can't have enough of those guys.
You can't have enough of those guys, and I thought Dan said it really well. That's, he's just one of those guys that you want on your roster. One of those guys that just depth, they can provide a spark, consistent. Great hands in terms of punt return. You feel good about that. He's been so close to busting one, and that was great to see him, get that one early in the game and kind of get that monkey off his back a little bit. But he's terrific game by him, and he's had really a solid season.
And I think you're now seeing, like early last year when there was no Josh Reynolds here, DJ Chark was in Jacksonville, Amon-Ra hadn't came on yet. Like Kalif Raymond was playing wide receiver, and you're getting all of the reps from training camp last year where he was one of the top 3, and the season last year where he was one of the top 3. And now to have that guy in a depth role that you can rely on and depend on that late when you just need injury, or you need him to play 80 snaps because you only have 3 wide receivers on the team, like
right.
Chicago or anything like that. Just to have a guy with so much kind of, equity here, for lack of a better word, and reps with Jared, it's clearly, rearing its head now.
Yeah, he's to me like a guy like John Kaminsky is to the defense too, right? I mean, not always a heralded guy, but can make a big play, as we saw, John do with the sack, late in that game. But just does all the little things to help teammates be better, and Kalif is kind of that guy too. Well, let's talk about the defense a little bit, because, look, 17 points. They did their job. Wasn't pretty at times. But, look, they made the plays at the end of the game when they needed to. And, what I think one of the big highlights for me was seeing Romeo Okwara come back and, have a couple sacks. 2
Big
sacks,
too.
2 tackles for loss. Yeah, obviously the 2 quarterback hits that come with that. 4 tackles, 2 of them solo tackles. And I just stopped by his locker this week and, just chatted, hey, how great was that to be back and just run out of the tunnel? And he said it was, it was great, but there was some rust that he was knocking off in those 25 reps. And he said, trust me, I'll be a lot better in New York. And boy, he was a lot better in New York. And Peach, I mean, just what does that mean for the Lions defense with him back and instantly productive? Because now you've got him, you've got Aiden. James Houston had another sack, his 5th in his first 4 games. You've got John Kaminsky, which we talked about. I mean, that is a pretty versatile bunch of pass rushers Aaron Glenn can throw at offenses now.
And I think at least Houston is probably more of an outside edge guy, but the other 3 are interchangeable. You could put them on the inside. You could do a lot of different stunts.
The old NASCAR package.
Yeah, get some different views in front of a young quarterback like they did yesterday with Zach Wilson. And I mean, you're going down the list. Kaminsky 3 QB hits, Houston 3 QB hits. It's like those are, to find James Houston coming on this late in the season and being healthy when, you're working Romeo back in, and Romeo is now fully worked back in, and he had 2 sacks. But to have just a 3rd edge rusher who is good for a couple pressures at the very least when you need him most, that's a big jolt to a team late in the season like this.
It didn't seem like a great strategy to unblock.
No,
Houston
that was weird.
Play.
Yeah.
Probably something I would evaluate.
I would have gotten a
tape
hand
this
on
week.
that guy.
Yeah. Good moving forward. Hey, the Lions will take it, right? And good on Jacobs too. I know he'd been close a couple times to getting his first career pick, and that one was a huge one. Returned to
That was
38
big to
yards,
steal the possession coming out of halftime.
down to the 15, and unfortunately the Lions offense, couldn't punch it in. That was an issue. One of those things, Dan talked about that they've got to clean up. They came into Sunday's game first in the league in touchdown percentage in the red zone, 75%. I mean, that was better than KC. That was better than Philly. That was better than everybody. And a little surprising to me to go 0-3 again. That's a good Jets defense. But again, something they've got to clean up there. But to still be able to get the 3 points off the Jacobs interception, I thought was huge. And look, the defense did enough. They had some key sacks late in that final possession. And forced a 58-yard field goal, which is no easy thing in this league. And to have they got the ball back with a couple minutes,
a minute and 48,
minute 48, and all 3 timeouts.
Yep.
So
that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. So I mean, what a terrific defensive stand. Had a couple sacks mixed in there.
You
plays
put pressure on him. I mean, he was moving out of the pocket, had to just chuck up a couple prayers, and yeah, they were completed. But at least you're getting pressure. You're forcing the opposing quarterback to make a play, and it happens. Guys are going to make catches like that, but at least you're putting the pressure on him late in the game in that scenario. So
13 straight games with a takeaway, Peach. I think that's huge too. I mean, this is a defense that's kind of they're young, right? There were so many young people, and they had 2 guys returning, 3 if you count Tracy Walker, but he was lost in week 3, and so they had to figure some things out, and some young guys had to grow up. And now we're seeing that they're able to take the football away. Are they going to give up some plays? Sure, they're going to give up some plays. They're still young, but they're figuring it out. They're making big plays. They're getting after the quarterback. They're taking the football over. When you've got an offense that isn't giving it away, that's a pretty terrific combination they've got going on right now.
I even think back to the preseason this year when they played 3 games without a single turnover in the preseason. Everybody was like, what is going on here? That's not right. That's not supposed to happen. And then it started slow again for the first part of the season. But now you're seeing it. That's what you need to win December and January football games is you need to be able to just control it on offense, not give it away, and you need to be able to force turnovers on the other side.
It seems like a winning recipe, and it certainly is a winning recipe for the Detroit Lions right now. They head to Carolina, play the Panthers on Sunday, obviously a big week, and then, boy, if they can beat Carolina, can you even imagine what Ford Field's going to be like?
No.
Versus Chicago.
I actually
if they're in at that, let's say they're the number 7 seed at that point. Hypothetically. And you've got
the
home game against a divisional opponent. Oh,
I mean, you thought the Minnesota game was fun.
That's going to be fun.
Going to be.
But first off, they've got to prepare this week. Carolina's playing some pretty good football, and look, Carolina's got something to play for too. They're 1 game, I think, out of a playoff spot in the NFC South, especially after Tampa Bay lost. So they're 5-9. I think Tampa's 6-8, right? So they're 1 game off. They've got tons to play for as well. So this is certainly not going to be an easy contest for the Lions. They got to go and play good football, not turn it over, find a way to get some takeaways and fix a lot of things that went wrong on especially offensively. If they want to go down there and win. But look, we're talking about meaningful football in December. We're talking about, potentially winning 7 of 8. And it's been fun to be part of this ride, and hopefully they'll continue it. We'll have another Twentyman in the Huddle podcast midweek. Now, it's a Saturday game this week, so we still going to release it Thursday? Or are we doing Wednesday?
We can try Wednesday. We should be able to get it out Wednesday.
We'll try a Wednesday release.
Try a Wednesday.
It could be Thursday.
Keep an eye out.
We'll have it. So obviously that'll be big. We'll be previewing the Carolina game. We'll talk to players we do every week. We'll have the key matchups, and so we'll break it all down as the Lions try to continue this winning streak after taking care of the Jets 2017 in New York on Sunday.